8 months. It's 8 months to Avengers Doomsday, and despite all of the hype, and this being the Hail Mary pass of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think we've already seen the best movie of the year, even though it's still only April. And that film, ironically enough, was called Project Hail Mary, a very good standalone, non-franchise science fiction movie. And there wasn't nearly as much fanfare and promotion for that movie as there is for Avengers Doomsday. Now, we've discussed previously how Doomsday is going to be this giant crossover movie, lots of callbacks and nostalgia and returning characters from the franchise. Of course, the original X-Men movie cast, the new and old Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and of course, the return of Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Evans. Plus, there's going to be a lot of other surprises in there for sure. As you know, Doomsday is part one of a two-part story with Secret Wars, which is going to come out in 2027, due to resolve that cliffhanger in a kind of Infinity War endgame type situation, that kind of a two-parter. The issue is that back in 2018, when Infinity War came out, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was in rude health. It could do no wrong at the peak of its popularity. And the buzz for that film was just electric because the Infinity Saga was really coming to a head. So even before that film's release, there was a lot of anticipation. And the anticipation for Infinity War, it was so huge, nothing has really compared since then. And you know, the anticipation then for the resolution of that story was 2019's Endgame. And obviously that was enormous as well. So, but when that was done, when those two stories were finished, I mean, the Infinity Saga, that story had given the MCU a sense of purpose and what felt like a reason for being. It had been built up over 10 years. And so when the Infinity Saga ended, it felt like the MCU was kind of done, but it continued for several more phases. And since then, it's been a steady decline in quality. It's been a steady decline in quality, both in film and in television series, with a few exceptions, I would say. You know, Deadpool and Wolverine, you know, the Spider-Man movies, they were pretty good. But Avengers Doomsday has the unenviable task of attempting to rejuvenate a declining franchise while also being an incredibly expensive film to make. Robert Downey Jr. is said to be receiving $100 million for returning for those two films. And the Russo brothers, who are directing these movies, are said to receive $80 million. This film will need to generate at least what Endgame made at the box office in order to be profitable. But can the Marvel Cinematic Universe still generate that kind of money? Well, first and foremost, the film is going to have to be something exceptional. It's going to have to motivate people to get up off their couch and go and see it, which I think is kind of becoming harder to do for a lot of big franchise films, in particular in the superhero genre. Case in point, last year's Superman, which did not break even after all its expenses. So it's a tough assignment. Avengers Doomsday is going to be a tough assignment. That's why I want to take a look at this article from comicbookmovie.com. Avengers Doomsday reportedly hailed as best MCU movie yet following early internal test screening. According to Insider at My Time to Shine H, Marvel Studios held a private test screening of the pre-shoots version of Avengers Doomsday for Kevin Feige and select staff, and they were very pleased with it. Some even called it the best Marvel movie yet. Robert Meyer Burnett has also chimed in to say it was met with reactions on par with 2018's Avengers Infinity War. While best taken with a pinch of salt, this claim points to the Russo brothers having figured out the right way to conclude the multiverse saga. And I would say, I really hope that we're going to see the end of the multiverse plot point because it really just hasn't worked. And audiences just are kind of tired of it. There's been a lot of multiverse stuff in recent years. It says, everything we've seen from the movie so far has impressed, with various leaks pointing to an emotional, epic climax that does right by Doom and the multiverse's mightiest heroes. Well, yes, we have to take this with a pinch of salt. An internal test screening is one thing. Let's wait and see what a test screening for the general public thinks of the film. That's going to say a lot more. This being pre-shoots also bodes well, especially as additional photography is expected to mostly focus on adding even more characters and cameos. Yeah, these films are developed and even scripted while they're being shot because there's so much green screening and CGI. They can chop and change scenes and introduce characters as they choose in post-production. And I think this film is going to be, there's going to be a lot of cameos and member berries in there, to sort of titillate fans. Just a total nostalgia fest. I don't see how the story is going to be that strong when it's really just... This multiverse plot point is really just a contrivance to, bring back dead characters or crossover characters with characters from other universes. In the case of the X-Men, bringing them in, for example. And of course, we saw that with Spider-Man No Way Home, where they were able to cross over different versions of characters from the Spider-Man universe together. And it's a gimmick, right? It's a bit gimmicky. I think it worked reasonably well for No Way Home, but at some point the gimmick does get a bit tired. And the multiverse just robs stories of consequences in a sense of threat, of a sense of stakes, because a character can be killed off and then brought back with a different version of them from another universe where they didn't die. And I don't want to be too downcast about it. I don't want to be too downbeat. The film might be genuinely very good. It could turn out to be a great movie. And I'd like it to be a great movie. I'd like it to be a pleasant surprise. But the amount of characters, and from what we've been hearing about, the plot leaks so far, we know there's this contrived multiverse stuff going on. That is the main plot device to which the story revolves around. And to get all these characters on screen together, that's the whole point, right? The whole point is a big crossover. And that's ultimately that's what drives the narrative. It's going to feel quite convoluted, I think. So you can expect lots of breathless expositionary scenes in order to justify that, to explain that, to accomplish it. Hopefully not as much exposition as something like Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I actually watched that film for the second time recently, and yeah, it's actually worse than I remembered. It's just endless exposition. So anyway, I'm hoping Doomsday doesn't fall into the same trap. We shall see. What do you guys think? Avengers Doomsday, will it be the best MCU film since Infinity War, or the best yet? We can hope, but I wouldn't be that optimistic about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.